The silent breakthrough. Dr. Sarah Chen stood motionless before the quantum display, her reflection ghosting against the stream of holographic data. The laboratory deep beneath Geneva hummed with the precise rhythm of cooling systems and quantum computers. Behind her, the prototype sat like a sleeping giant, a device no larger than a coffee table that could rewrite humanity's future. "They're ready for us upstairs," Dr. Marcus Wong said from the doorway. His usual cheerful demeanor had been replaced by something more solemn. "The Galactic Council's representatives have arrived." Sarah nodded, her fingers unconsciously touching the small pendant at her neck, a Mobius strip crafted from her first quantum processor. "How many?" "5 species, including the Skith." Marcus's expression tightened. "They're already making jokes about primitive quantum experiments." The Skith crystalline beings who had mastered quantum mechanics when humans were still learning to make fire. Their presence wasn't surprising, but it stung nonetheless. Sarah had expected mockery, had prepared for it. What she hadn't prepared for was the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. The elevator ride to the surface felt eternal. Sarah reviewed the numbers in her head one last time. The mathematics were perfect. She checked them 1,000 times. The theory was sound. The tests were successful. Yet doubt crept in like a persistent shadow. The conference room at CERN's main facility was packed with an assortment of beings that still amazed Sarah, even after a decade of galactic integration. The Skith delegation sparkled near the window, their crystalline forms refracting sunlight into rainbow patterns. The gaseous Voom occupied a specialized environmental chamber, their swirling forms expressing what Sarah had learned to recognize as amusement. 3 Meridian observers, tall humanoids with iridescent skin, stood with perfect posture, their expressions unreadable. Director Chen, no relation, stood at the podium, his weathered face stern. "Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Council, we thank you for accepting our invitation. Earth's Quantum Research Division has made a breakthrough we believe warrants immediate attention." A harmonic chime filled the room. Skith laughter. Their translator kicked in. "Forgive our amusement, but this is the 4th breakthrough announcement from Earth this cycle. The previous 3 were merely rediscoveries of principles our youngest learn in primary education." Sarah stepped forward, her quantum tablet projecting her data into the room's center. "What we've discovered isn't simply a new quantum principle. We've found a way to fold quantum space itself." The Meridian's skin rippled with color, their version of raised eyebrows. The Voom's gaseous form condensed slightly, but it was the Skith's crystalline vibration of disbelief that filled the room. "Impossible," their chief scientist chimed. "Quantum space cannot be folded. The energy requirements alone would tear apart any material known to science." Sarah smiled for the first time that day. "You're absolutely correct. If you're trying to fold quantum space from the outside, we're folding it from within." She gestured, and a holographic display shifted to show a series of equations that caused the alien scientists to lean forward. "We discovered that quantum space isn't a rigid framework. It's more like a fabric, with natural creases and folds already present. We're not creating new folds. We're finding the ones that already exist and utilizing them." The Voom's translator crackled. "Such a thing would require technology far beyond your current capabilities. Your species has barely mastered basic quantum computing. Would you like to see it in action?" Sarah asked, her heart pounding but her voice steady. The room fell silent. Director Chen nodded, and Sarah activated her tablet's secure link to the laboratory below. The prototype hummed to life, its quantum signature appearing as a bright point in the holographic display. "Observed," Sarah said, initiating the sequence they'd tested countless times in secret. The quantum signature began to shift, not in the way normal quantum particles moved, but in a way that made the alien scientists' monitoring equipment spark with confusion. The prototype wasn't moving through quantum space. It was moving with it, finding the natural wrinkles in reality and sliding through them like water through a stream's hidden channels. "Impossible," the Skith scientist chimed again, but this time with a different harmonic. Our instruments must be malfunctioning. They're working perfectly, Sarah assured them. What you're seeing is the first successful navigation of quantum space's natural topology. We call it the quantum fold theory. The Meridian chief observer's skin had turned a deep blue of concern. If what you're showing us is genuine, the implications are revolutionary. Director Chen finished, which is why we're announcing our next project, a deep space vessel utilizing this technology. The Quantum Weaver. The room erupted in a cacophony of alien voices, translations overlapping. Sarah stood her ground as accusations of fraud and demands for proof filled the air. She'd expected this reaction. What she hadn't expected was the underlying tone of fear in their voices. "This is why we've invited you here," she said, raising her voice above the chaos. "We're not announcing this as a fait accompli. We're inviting the Galactic Council to observe and validate our work, to be part of this breakthrough." The Skith delegation vibrated in what Sarah recognized as their version of intense discussion. Finally, their lead scientist spoke. "You understand that if this is a deception, the consequences for Earth would be severe." "It's not a deception," Sarah replied, her hand touching her Mobius strip pendant again. "It's humanity's gift to the galaxy." As the meeting dissolved into detailed technical discussions and diplomatic negotiations, Sarah caught Marcus's eye across the room. He gave her a subtle nod. Phase 1 was complete. The galaxy might doubt, might mock, might fear, but they could no longer ignore. In the laboratory below, the prototype continued its quantum dance, weaving through the hidden folds of reality, proving with every moment that humanity had seen what older, wiser species had missed. The universe wasn't a puzzle to be forced, but a pattern to be understood. The real work was just beginning. Echoes of doubt. The Quantum Weaver's construction facility stretched across a hidden valley in the Atacama Desert, its quantum-shielded domes reflecting the harsh Chilean sun. 6 months had passed since the Geneva announcement, and Sarah Chen was beginning to understand why so many brilliant scientists had gone mad from obsession. "They're saying we faked the prototype demonstration," Marcus said, sliding a coffee across her workstation. The holographic schematics cast a blue glow across his tired face. "The Skith published another paper proving our theory violates fundamental quantum laws." Sarah didn't look up from the equations floating before her. Of course they did. They're still trying to understand it using their framework. She gestured, and a holographic display expanded to show the latest test results. "Look at this. The quantum fold is holding stable at larger scales." The test chamber below them hummed as it generated another microscopic quantum fold. Each successful test brought them closer to their goal, but also attracted more scrutiny from their alien observers. "Dr. Chen," a harmonic voice chimed. A Skith observer floated into the laboratory, its crystalline form refracting the holographic light. "Our instruments detect anomalous quantum fluctuations in your test chamber." "Expected fluctuations," Sarah corrected, pulling up the relevant data. "The quantum fabric naturally ripples when we identify its fold points, like watching waves spread from a stone dropped in water." The Skith vibrated in what Sarah had learned was frustration. "Such ripples should tear the quantum structure apart. Your mathematics cannot explain this stability." "Our mathematics explain it perfectly," Marcus interjected, bringing up the core equations. "You're just reading them wrong." Before the Skith could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. Sarah's hands flew across her console, bringing up security feeds. In the test chamber, the quantum fold was expanding beyond predicted parameters. "Containment breach in progress," the AI announced calmly. "Quantum fold exhibiting unexpected growth patterns." The Skith observer retreated to a safe distance, its crystalline form vibrating with what might have been satisfaction. "As we predicted, your attempts to manipulate quantum space are too dangerous." Sarah ignored the alien's smugness, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "Marcus, initiate Containment Protocol Delta. We need to understand this. The expanding quantum fold should have been catastrophic. According to every alien theory, it should have torn apart the fabric of space-time. Instead, it was flowering. The holographic displays showed something unprecedented. The quantum fold wasn't destroying space-time, it was revealing new layers of it. "My God," Marcus whispered. "Sarah, are you seeing this?" She was. The quantum fold had stabilized itself, forming a pattern that looked eerily like a blooming lotus. Within its petals, they could see hints of other dimensions, other layers of reality that no human or alien had ever witnessed. "Impossible," the Skeith observer chimed, its crystalline form now vibrating with genuine confusion. "This violates every known law of quantum mechanics." "No," Sarah said softly, her eyes fixed on the beautiful pattern before them. "It only violates what we thought we knew about those laws." She turned to face the alien observer. "Your species has studied quantum mechanics for millennia, but you've only studied it from one perspective. You never considered that quantum space might have its own natural patterns, its own ecosystem." The facility's AI announced the quantum fold was naturally dissipating, leaving behind a treasure trove of data that would take months to analyze. But Sarah had seen enough. She knew now why their project had sparked such fear among the older species. "We're not just building a new type of spacecraft," she told the still vibrating Skeith. "We're discovering a new way to understand reality itself. And that terrifies you, doesn't it?" The crystalline being's response was telling in its silence. Sarah turned back to her work, but Marcus caught her arm. "The Meridian observers are requesting an emergency conference. They're saying the quantum ripples were detected as far away as their home system." Sarah's excitement dimmed slightly. She'd expected their experiments would have far-reaching effects, but not this far. Not yet. The quantum fabric of space was more interconnected than even she had theorized. "Tell them we'll explain everything," she said, already formulating how to present this unexpected development. "But first, help me analyze this data. I think we just discovered why our theory works, and why nobody found it before us." As they worked through the night, messages flooded in from across the galaxy. Some demanded they shut down their experiments immediately. Others offered collaboration, resources, support. But it was a message from Director Chen that caught Sarah's attention. "The Quantum Weaver's construction schedule has been accelerated. Whatever you just did, it convinced the World Council. You have full funding and authority to proceed." Sarah looked through the reinforced windows at the partially constructed vessel in the valley below. Its quantum-sensitive hull gleamed under the desert stars, designed not to fight against reality, but to work with it, to find the hidden folds in space and slip through them like a needle through silk. The aliens thought humanity was too young, too reckless to handle such discoveries. But as Sarah studied the beautiful patterns their failed experiment had revealed, she understood something profound. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their intelligence. It was their ability to see wonder where others saw only chaos. Breaking point. The emergency alert came at 3 a.m. Earth time. Sarah was still in her laboratory, reviewing quantum fold patterns, when every screen in the facility lit up with urgent messages from the Galactic Council. "Multiple quantum ruptures detected in the Carina sector," Marcus announced, bursting into the lab. 3 inhabited systems are reporting critical space-time destabilization. The main display showed the disaster unfolding. The Carina sector, home to some of the oldest quantum-based civilizations in the galaxy, was experiencing what the Skeith had always feared. Natural quantum folds were collapsing, threatening to tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. "The Meridians are evacuating their colony worlds," Sarah read from the incoming reports. "The VUM are saying their quantum drives are malfunctioning. They can't maintain stable flight patterns." Director Chen's hologram appeared in the center of the lab. "Dr. Chen, the Galactic Council is blaming our experiments for this catastrophe. They're demanding we shut down all quantum fold research immediately." Sarah's hands flew across her console, analyzing the data streams. "This isn't from our work. The pattern is all wrong." She projected a comparison of their quantum fold signatures, and the Carina disturbances. These ruptures are coming from within the quantum fabric itself, like something's been building up pressure for millennia. The Skith aren't listening, Marcus said grimly. They're saying our experiments weaken the quantum structure of space-time. Their entire civilization is at risk. Sarah stared at the patterns, seeing something the aliens had missed. Their rigid understanding of quantum mechanics had blinded them to the truth. The quantum fabric isn't breaking, she whispered. It's changing, evolving. Our experiments didn't cause this. They just helped us notice it in time. In time for what? Director Chen asked. To save them. Sarah straightened up. The quantum weaver, how close is it to completion? 2 months from final testing. But we don't have 2 months. Look. She highlighted a section of the quantum analysis. These ruptures are following a pattern. They're spreading along natural quantum fold lines. In 48 hours, they'll reach the Skith homeworld. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Skith, for all their advanced technology, couldn't handle natural quantum folds. Their rigid approach to quantum mechanics had left them vulnerable to the very forces they claimed to master. The Weaver isn't ready, Marcus protested. We haven't tested the full-scale quantum navigation systems. We don't have a choice. Sarah pulled up the vessel's schematics. The Weaver was designed to work with quantum folds, not against them. It's the only ship in the galaxy that might be able to stabilize these ruptures. Director Chen's hologram flickered as he received new information. The Galactic Council has issued an order. All human quantum research facilities are to be shut down and sealed. They're sending ships to enforce the order. Sarah looked at the half-finished quantum weaver through the lab's window. Its experimental hull was designed to bend with quantum space, to flow with the natural folds of reality, rather than try to force them into submission. Like all of humanity's greatest achievements, it represented a fundamental shift in perspective. How long would it take to get the Weaver's core systems online? She asked Marcus. He caught her meaning immediately. 20 hours, maybe less if we focus only on essential systems. But Sarah, even if we launch, the Galactic Council will try to stop us. Let them try. She was already moving, sending commands to the construction teams. They don't understand what we built. They can't stop what they don't understand. Director Chen's hologram watched her with concern. Dr. Chen, if you do this against council orders, even if you succeed, there will be consequences. If we don't do this, 3 civilizations die. She met his gaze. And after them, more will follow. The quantum fabric isn't breaking down randomly. It's restructuring itself. The galaxy is changing, Director. The only question is whether we help guide that change or watch it destroy everything we know. The next 18 hours were a blur of activity. Construction crews worked in shifts, focusing on the Weaver's essential systems. The quantum core, heart of the ship's revolutionary drive, came online 6 hours ahead of schedule. Sarah supervised every step, knowing they would only get one chance at this. The alien vessels arrived just as they were completing final preparations. A fleet of Skith crystalline ships took up position around Earth, their weapons charged. The Meridians sent diplomatic warnings. The Voom threatened sanctions. But as the quantum weaver rose from its cradle in the Chilean desert, its hull already adapting to the quantum currents around it, Sarah felt only calm. Humanity had always advanced by seeing what others missed, by finding new ways to approach old problems. All systems online, Marcus reported from his station on the bridge. Quantum fold detection active. We're ready. Sarah took her place at the quantum navigation console. Through the view screen, she could see the alien vessels moving to intercept them. They still didn't understand. The Weaver wasn't just a ship. It was humanity's answer to a question the galaxy hadn't even known to ask. Take us up, she ordered. Let's show them what happens when you work with reality instead of against it. The quantum weaver hummed to life, its revolutionary drive engaging. As the alien vessels opened fire, the human ship did something no other vessel in history had done. It slipped sideways through reality itself. finding the natural quantum fold that had always been there, waiting to be discovered. They had less than 30 hours to save 3 civilizations, and in doing so, they would prove that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their determination. It was their ability to see the universe not as it was supposed to be, but as it truly was. Impossible salvation. The quantum weaver emerged from its quantum fold into chaos. The space around the Skith homeworld rippled with distortions visible even to the naked eye. Crystalline ships tumbled helplessly, their quantum drives useless in the destabilizing spacetime. Multiple quantum ruptures expanding. Marcus reported, his hands flying across the sensor controls. The Skith orbital defense grid is failing. Their ships are losing structural integrity. Sarah studied the quantum patterns dancing across her display. The fabric of space itself was shifting, following patterns that the Skith's rigid understanding of quantum mechanics had never predicted. But to her, trained to see the natural flow of quantum space, the pattern was beautiful in its complexity. "They're hailing us," Marcus announced. "The Skith High Command is ordering us to retreat. They're saying our presence will only accelerate the collapse." "Put them through," Sarah said, still working at her console. The main screen filled with the image of First Resonator Tctol, the crystalline being's form flickering with distress harmonics. "Remove your vessel immediately. Your quantum manipulations are the only thing that might save your world," Sarah interrupted. "Look at your own sensors. The quantum fabric isn't collapsing randomly. It's restructuring itself along natural fold lines. Lines that your civilization has been fighting against for millennia." The Skith leader's crystalline form vibrated with denial. "Impossible. Quantum space is rigid, unchanging." "No," Sarah cut in, sending their sensor data to the Skith ships. "That's just what you wanted to believe. You built your entire civilization on forcing quantum space to behave according to your theories. But look at this." She highlighted the pattern of quantum folds spreading through the system. "These aren't ruptures. They're more like growing pains. The quantum fabric of space is evolving, changing its fundamental structure. Your technology fights against this natural process. Ours works with it." Another crystalline ship broke apart, its crew barely managing to teleport to safety before the quantum distortions tore it to pieces. The Skith homeworld's protective shields were starting to fail, exposing the surface to the quantum storm. "Even if you're right," Tiskel chimed, "how can your primitive vessel hope to?" "Marcus," Sarah called out, "initiate quantum harmony sequence." The quantum weaver's revolutionary drive activated, but not to travel. Instead, it began to pulse in perfect synchronization with the natural quantum folds spreading through the system. The ship's hull rippled like liquid metal, adapting to each quantum fluctuation. "What are you doing?" Tctol demanded. "Teaching your world to dance," Sarah replied, her fingers moving across the quantum controls with practiced precision. "Your civilization tried to impose order on quantum space. We learned to follow its natural rhythms." The weaver's quantum field expanded, creating a bubble of stability around it. Within that bubble, the quantum fabric wasn't fighting against itself. It was flowing naturally, finding its new pattern without the violent disruption caused by the Skith's rigid technology. "Extending quantum harmony field," Marcus reported. "Coverage now reaching Skith orbital platforms." On the main screen, they watched as the failing Skith ships steadied themselves within the weaver's influence. The quantum distortions didn't disappear. Instead, they smoothed out, becoming part of a larger, more complex pattern. "Impossible," Tctol whispered, but the harmonic of their voice had changed from denial to wonder. "Your ships and stations need to adjust their quantum resonance to match ours," Sarah explained, sending the necessary calculations. "Don't try to stabilize space. Let it find its new configuration naturally." For the next 6 hours, the quantum weaver moved through the Skith system like a conductor leading an orchestra. Its quantum harmony field showed the Skith technology how to work with the changing fabric of space rather than against it. One by one, their systems adapted, learned, evolved. When it was done, the quantum storm had passed. But the space around the Skith homeworld was forever changed. The quantum fabric had settled into its new configuration. More complex, more dynamic, but also more stable than before. The other affected systems are reporting similar quantum restructuring, Marcus said, reading the incoming data. The Meridian colonies, the VUM outposts, they all experienced the same transformation. Sarah nodded, exhausted but satisfied. The galaxy is entering a new phase. The quantum fabric of space itself is becoming more complex, more interconnected. Fighting against that change would have torn civilization apart. The main screen lit up with incoming transmissions. The Galactic Council was convening an emergency session. The Meridians were requesting immediate access to the Weaver's quantum harmony technology. The VUM were already proposing joint research initiatives. But it was Tz'Tal's next words that truly marked the moment of change. The crystalline being's form had shifted, adapting to the new quantum reality around it, becoming something more fluid, more dynamic. For 10,000 years, they chimed. We thought we were masters of quantum space. Today, we learned we were children playing with forces we refused to understand. The beam's form sparkled with new harmonics. Humanity taught us to see the universe anew. We would be honored to learn from you. Sarah looked out at the transformed space around them. The quantum fabric rippled with new patterns, new possibilities that no one, human or alien, had imagined before. This wasn't just a crisis averted. It was the beginning of a new era in galactic science. We all have much to learn, she said, touching her Mobius strip pendant. The universe is more beautiful and complex than any of us imagined. The only way forward is together. The quantum weaver's hull shimmered, already adapting to the new quantum reality around it. Humanity's gift to the galaxy wasn't just technology. It was a new way of seeing, of understanding, of growing. And as the ship prepared to help the next system through its transformation, Sarah knew that the real journey was just beginning. New dawn. 1 year after the quantum transformation crisis, the Galactic Science Academy on Earth was hosting its first interstellar symposium. The massive auditorium, designed to accommodate beings from every known species, hummed with excited discussion. Quantum fold patterns danced across the ceiling, a constant reminder of how much the galaxy had changed. Sarah Chen stood at her station in the adjacent Quantum Research Center, watching as the final adjustments were made to the Academy's new quantum harmony network. The system, based on the quantum weaver's revolutionary technology, kept Earth's space in perfect synchronization with the galaxy's evolved quantum fabric. The Skith delegation has arrived, Marcus announced, now wearing the formal robes of Earth's Chief of Interstellar Scientific Cooperation. You won't believe how they've changed. Sarah turned to see the crystalline beings enter, except they weren't purely crystalline anymore. Their forms flowed and shifted like living mercury, adapting to the quantum currents around them. In just 1 year, their entire species had evolved to match the new reality they once fought against. Dr. Chen, First Resonator Tk'l greeted her, their form shimmering with respectful harmonics. The quantum harmony patterns you established have spread throughout the galaxy. Even species that weren't affected by the initial transformation are adopting them voluntarily. Because they work, Sarah replied simply. The universe was always meant to flow, not fight against itself. We just had to learn to see the patterns. The main display showed live feeds from across known space. Meridian ships now moved through quantum space like schools of fish through water, their hulls rippling in harmony with reality's natural folds. VUM colonies had redesigned their entire infrastructure to work with quantum currents rather than trying to shield against them. The latest data from the Carina sector is remarkable. A young Meridian scientist reported, her iridescent skin pulsing with excitement. The quantum fabric continues to evolve, but now it's a controlled process. We're seeing new dimensions of spacetime that were always there, just hidden behind our rigid assumptions. Sarah nodded, remembering the early days of her research, when she first realized that the universe wasn't a machine to be controlled, but a dance to be joined. How are the new quantum fold ships performing? Better than we could have imagined, Marcus replied. The joint human-alien engineering teams have already launched 50 vessels based on the Weaver's design. They're exploring regions of space we never could have reached with conventional drives. The symposium was about to begin. As Sarah made her way to the auditorium, she passed various alien scientists engaged in animated discussions. A group of VOM researchers were demonstrating a new quantum communication system that used natural fold patterns to transmit information instantly across vast distances. Skith and human engineers debated the principles of quantum architecture, designing structures that could adapt to space-time's natural rhythm. "You've changed everything," Tiskell said, floating beside her as they entered the auditorium. "Not just our technology or our science, but our entire understanding of existence." Sarah took her place at the podium, looking out at the assembled beings. Former skeptics turned colleagues, old enemies become partners in discovery. The quantum patterns above seemed to pulse in anticipation. 1 year ago, she began, we faced what seemed like the end of civilization. The quantum fabric of space itself was changing, and our attempts to control it nearly destroyed us all. She paused, letting the memory sink in. But what we thought was an ending was really a beginning. We discovered that the universe isn't a puzzle to be solved or a force to be tamed. It's a partner in the greatest dance of all. The dance of discovery, of evolution, of life itself. The holographic displays showed the latest quantum fold maps, vast, beautiful patterns that connected all of known space in an ever-shifting web of possibility. Ships moved through these patterns like dancers, their quantum drives no longer forcing their way through space, but moving in harmony with it. Humanity's gift to the galaxy wasn't just new technology, Sarah continued. It was a new perspective. We looked at quantum space not as masters seeking to control it, but as students eager to learn its natural rhythms. And in doing so, we helped the galaxy take its next step forward. A Meridian ship appeared on the main screen, using quantum fold technology to rescue a stranded VUM vessel. A Skith research station flowed like liquid crystal, adapting to a sudden quantum surge that would have destroyed it a year ago. All across the galaxy, civilization wasn't just surviving the quantum transformation, it was thriving because of it. The universe is more complex, more beautiful, and more alive than any of us imagined, Sarah concluded. And we've only begun to understand its true nature, but we'll discover it together, not as separate species fighting for dominance, but as partners in the greatest scientific endeavor of all time. As applause filled the auditorium, each species expressing appreciation in their own unique way, Sarah touched her Mobius strip pendant one last time. The quantum patterns above seemed to dance in response, a reminder that the greatest breakthroughs come not from forcing the universe to obey, but from learning to see the wonder that was always there. Humanity had proven itself not through superior technology or greater intelligence, but through their ability to see with new eyes, to question old assumptions, and to find harmony where others saw only chaos. And in doing so, they had helped forge a new future for all intelligent life, a future where the dance of discovery would never end.